Everton's 9th loss of the season. So they've now won just one of their last Premier League matches, and if results go against them today, they could also drop into the bottom 3. They're just above it at the moment. Brighton scored 3 goals in 6 minutes in the second half, which saw Everton collapse, really. Now, the loss piles a fair bit more pressure on their boss, Frank Lampard. He did speak to talkSPORT after the game, and he said that he expects his players to hold themselves accountable for their poor performances.
It just has to be personal responsibility. I think all I want from players at any time is, if for good or for bad actually, is that they just worry about themselves in terms of what's my input, what can I do, what can I improve, and take personal responsibility. Every player that played today has to do that. I do that when I go home. So I won't shirk anything from my responsibilities. I'm the manager. We've just lost 4-1 at home, and I'll go and try and be better. That's what the players have to do.
Really disappointing as well after coming off the back of managing to hold Manchester City to a draw, right? What a result that was. Nobody predicted that. What did you think of this one? What's going wrong at Everton?
Well, I think over the last few years, recruitment's been horrendous. I think that's why the fans are saying about the board. They haven't got it right. Spent so much money. You just look at who they played last night. Well, how they do their business. Brighton, they bring in the right players. They get, when they do sell them on, they make fortunes of money. Yeah. So Everton are a real, what can I say? They had lots of experience out there last night as well. It's not like they're a young team and things are going wrong. The two defenders, Cody and Tarkowski, they're very, very experienced players. But individual mistakes, sometimes you can't. Like the fourth goal's embarrassing, isn't it? I mean, that back pass is. I don't know what he's thinking there.
But don't you think the first goal as well, Ray? How could you play a crossfield ball? Patterson right back gets caught, and then
he was struggling.
The winger runs straight into the box, can take another touch and just put it in the net.
Too easy.
It's so easy.
The first touch was superb, though. It was a brilliant goal, the first one, for the striker's point of view. But defending, it was too easy.
Don't you think sometimes, Ray, I was saying to Laura earlier that, we're going to be team players, aren't we? And you're going to always want to back the players. But sometimes they went into the Etihad and got a draw and were outstanding. The caller last night on the sports bar saying that he's lost the changing room. Well, it's a few days ago. The change room was fine with the manager, but they just didn't turn up last night, and the defending was woeful. Sometimes you've got to blame the players, haven't you?
Yeah, absolutely.
And their performances.
Yeah, you can't always blame the manager, because you're on that pitch, you've got to turn it around yourself sometimes. I've been in teams where we're struggling at times, but it's down to the players to organise people and sort people out on the pitch, not always the manager. No. So that's what he's got. He's got to have a few more leaders on that pitch and who can boss people around and get people in positions when they're up against it. But let's not take nothing away from Brighton. They've been a good side. Going forward, they're fantastic. Against Arsenal, they played really well. They could have got probably a couple of more goals. But Everton now, it's going to be a big decision from Everton, what they do with Frank Lampard, because he's got a big backroom staff there as well. And, to change it now, whether they wait to a couple of more league games because they've got...
Doesn't help with the FA Cup being in
They've got Manchester United away. What does he do? Does he put his strongest team out?
Has to.
And try and get a result there, because that gives people confidence and belief. Then he's got Southampton at home and West Ham away. And we all know the rivalry between Frank Lampard and West Ham fans, so that's going to be interesting to see that one, with David Moyes under pressure as well. So they might look at those two games and say, well, let's wait for or did they make that decision now? I don't know. That's the decision the board have got to make. But it sounds like the board need changing as well, because...
But why does it... You can't keep every season flirting relegation. Sooner or later you go down. Happened with Aston Villa when I was there. Happened to Sunderland.
It can happen to all the big clubs.
Do you know what I mean? If you keep flirting every season, sooner or later the pressure's going to take its toll on you and you're going to end up getting relegated.
I just can't get my head around Everton, because every single season when they go and spend money, you think this could be the year where they try and break into that top 6, and we're talking about a relegation battle.
Not got a bad side, have they?
And look at the managers they've had.
Yep.
All very experienced, Ancelotti, people like that. They've tried everybody, and it just doesn't work. There's something wrong at the club, and maybe it is the board and the recruitment side of it.
That's what I was going to say, actually, because the fans are pointing the finger very much at the board. They were chanting last night, sack the board. Frank has said, look, I understand any reaction, because obviously they're not going to be happy about this, but maybe this is a problem that it's if you're going through vast amounts of managers of varying different experience levels, and you're right. I mean, if you bring Carlo Ancelotti in and Rafa in and Frank in, and you're constantly doing this turnover, then if that's not the problem, something else clearly is the problem. They're in trouble, really, because if they can't fix this, they are really, like you guys say, they're really flirting with relegation. And if a club like Everton goes down, that's huge, isn't it?
Oh, well, we all know how good the Championship is and how difficult it is to get back up. I know, look, Burnley are flying at the moment, Sheffield United are doing really well, but there's some good teams in that Championship. So you don't want to be dropping down financially for the club as well. It's not ideal. Players, you might lose players in your team who say, well, I don't want to play in the Championship. So it'd be a nightmare for Everton.
I was saying to Laura that
it'd be a nightmare for any Premier League club if you get relegated.
They recalled Sims, striker from Sunderland, Everton, who was on the bench last night. To me, that shows that there's no money to spend. You know, you've got Calvert-Lewin, you've got Mopai.
Well, they sold Richarlison for big money, didn't they?
Yeah, but I'm saying that they're probably not giving him money to spend. So Lampard's probably like, you know what, to bolster my squad, I've got to bring players back from loan. And he's going to have to rely on them players.
Well, I always say the January window's more probably for the bottom side than it is the top side. Look, sometimes you can get a gem if you're a top side and they're available, probably a year left on their contract and the club has got to get rid of. But I always look at the bottom. Whoever makes that little bit of business, Southampton, in the papers today, they're trying to get Allsett for who's a good player.
Ings.
Yeah, there's certain clubs who are going to try and bring in 2 or 3 new faces to really liven the dressing room up. And could Everton be one of those? I don't know. It sounds like they're not going to be. Yeah. And that could be a disastrous few games for Frank, because they've got Southampton next in the league and West Ham, who they're struggling big time, both of those clubs as well.
talkSPORT Breakfast with Laura Woods, Monday to Wednesday mornings 6 till 10. On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.